Some of the most challenging behavior doesn't come from those who don't care. It comes from those who care too much and believe they can never get it right. Perfectionism doesn't always look like effort. Sometimes it looks like avoidance. Sometimes it looks like disruption. And sometimes it says nothing at all. We call it laziness. We call it disengagement. But often it's self-protection. And until we understand that, we will continue to get behavior wrong. Some of the most challenging behavior in classrooms and teams doesn't come from those who don't care. It comes from those who care too much and believe they can never be successful or get it right. Perfectionism doesn't always look like effort. Sometimes it looks like avoidance. Sometimes it looks like disruption. And sometimes it says nothing at all. One of the most striking things Insight shows us is just how common perfectionism is. Not as a headline trait, but as an underlying driver. It's rarely isolated, it's almost always interacting with other attributes. And because of that, it's often misdiagnosed. What looks like laziness is often fear of not meeting a standard. What looks like disengagement is often self-protection. What Insight does is make the invisible visible. It shows patterns, not just in individuals, but across groups, cohorts, and systems. And when you start to see those patterns, everything began to make more sense. Perfectionism isn't a standalone trait. It's part of a network. It drives other behaviors. It drives avoidance. It drives self-handicapping. It drives anxiety and indeed even cognitive overload. It drives social comparison. If I can't do it perfectly, I won't do it at all. But it also works in reverse, because low self-efficacy can create perfectionism, the need to prove you're good enough. High social comparison can create perfectionism, the need to be flawless because others seem better. External pressure can create perfectionism, the belief that mistakes aren't safe. Perfectionism is often not confidence, it's compensation. And one of the reasons we miss it is because it hides so well. It's masked by louder behaviors, disruption, deflection, the I don't care persona. It's hidden in compliance, the quiet student, the overly neat work, the safe answers. And sometimes it's completely internalized, work that's never submitted, endless redrafting, emotional withdrawal. Some of the most at-risk students are the ones causing the least noise. And when we miss it, there's a cost, a personal cost. Self-esteem erodes, belonging becomes fragile, identity becomes tied to performance, a behavioral cost. Avoidance becomes a pattern, tasks are refused, emotions spike when students feel exposed, and of course a performance drop. Output drops, practice is avoided, potential plateaus. Perfectionism doesn't raise standards. Perfectionism narrows participation. So what do we do about it? At a classroom or coaching level, we have to make success accessible. We engineer early success, low threshold, high participation starts, moments where students feel I can do this. We make imperfection visible and safe. We model mistakes. We show drafts, not just the finished products. We break the all or nothing loop. Partial completion is success. Starting is success. We use process language relentlessly. What strategy did you use? What improved from last time? And we control exposure. We don't put students on the spot without support. We give them time to rehearse, to think, to prepare. Because perfectionism shrinks when success becomes accessible. But this isn't just about what happens in the room. It's also about the systems around it. At a curriculum level, we have to ask some hard questions. Where are the pressure points? Where is cognitive overload too high? Where is success too binary? Where do students actually experience those early wins? Because if success only exists at the end, perfectionism will dominate the whole journey. At an implementation level, we need consistency, routines that normalize struggle, structures that scaffold entry, opportunities that build momentum. And at a quality assurance level, we need to shift what we look for. We don't just measure outcomes, we look for signals. If we're getting this right, we should see more attempts, less avoidance, more visible drafting, broader participation. Insight doesn't just measure impact, it tells you what you should be moving if you're getting it right. But there's a trap here, and it's a big one. If we say we value process, but we celebrate outcome, students see straight through it. The wonder goal that gets all the praise in the middle of training, the loud success that gets the attention in the room, the standout performance gets the spotlight. Meanwhile, quiet effort is ignored. Incremental improvement is invisible. And in that moment, we accidentally train perfectionism through what we celebrate. So we have to hold the line. We have to reward what builds people, not just what impresses us. We have to be consistent, not selective. Because if we want resilient, confident learners, we have to be disciplined enough to recognize and reinforce the behaviors that actually create them. Perfectionism isn't a strength. It isn't a weakness. It's a signal about safety, about belief, about identity. And when we understand it properly, we don't just manage behavior better, we change outcomes. Perfectionism isn't about high standards. It's about fear. Some students don't fail because they can't do it. They fail because they won't risk getting it wrong. And if success only counts when it's perfect, most students stop trying. Let's zoom in on what this actually looks like in a real moment. Student is sat there staring at the page. They know what to do, they've done it before, but they're not starting. And from the outside, it looks like nothing. Or worse, it looks like they don't care. But inside, the calculation is different. What if I get it wrong? What if it's not good enough? What if everyone else does it better than me? So instead of risking that, they don't start at all, or they distract, or they deflect, or they shut down completely. And in that moment, what we're seeing isn't disengagement, it's protection. Thank you for watching. If this has resonated and you're starting to see these patterns differently, head over to the newly updated Insight Behaviours website to see how this works in practice and how we move from reacting to behaviour to understanding and shaping it. Next week, we go further. We'll be focusing on narrowing the bridge between the mainstream offer, interventions, and alternative provision, and why that matters, particularly for some of the most complex behaviours, including pathological demand avoidance or PDA. Because when that bridge is too wide, too many individuals fall through it. See you next week.